Welcome to the Midlife Pilot Podcast. We are glad you're with us. What is it like to become a pilot in your 40s and 50s? The challenges are unique for those of us in midlife, but so are the rewards. Hosts Ben, Brian, and Ted talk learning to fly, growing as pilots, and the joy of flying to destinations. The purpose of the podcast is not to teach, but to share knowledge and experiences of being a midlife pilot. Join the Midlife Pilot community and listen in every week. We are not CFIs or particularly intelligent, so if you want to learn how to fly, talk to anyone else other than the hosts of a podcast. Even this intro was too challenging for us, and we used a robot to do it. Okay, checklists are complete. Let's get the show started.
Hello and welcome to episode 170 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast, where we share experiences and challenges of flying in midlife. My name is Ben, and I'm a pilot based in the Atlanta metro area. And tonight we're going to be catching up and tackling some listener feedback. With me, as always, Heart of Music Row. It's my friend, my compatriot, and I feel like I've grown a little closer to him. For some reason, I went on a deep dive on all of his whole library of videos, and I feel like I'm a smarter person for it. It's my friend Brian.
I'm so glad to be here, and thanks for watching my YouTube videos. And this is going to be a fun episode. We've been what do they call it? Cooking with gas lately. Last week's episode was so awesome. Thanks again, Gita Brown.
Yes.
That was an amazing episode. Still reeling from that in a calm and meditative way, and super excited about tonight.
Also joining us, I got a frog in my throat. That never happens. Our friend on the West Coast. He is a sport pilot extraordinaire. He's in Portlandia, and he is everyone's friend. It's Ted. How you doing, sir?
Hey there. I'm doing really well. Glad to be here. Had a little bit of blue sky here lately. Can start to see maybe some hope in the future of the world because of that. So, yeah.
So you're saying there's a chance?
So saying there's a chance. Yes.
Want to remind everybody, we've got a little event coming up, and you know what? It's like 2 weeks away. Less than that.
Yeah, less than.
It's like, what, 12 days, 11 days? Is there a countdown clock somewhere?
I can't count. Yeah, it's too hard.
Our Midlife Pilot Spring event's going to be at Thaden Field. We're calling it the Thaden Invasion. Victor Bravo Tango, Bentonville, Arkansas, March 13th through the 15th, 2026. That's this year, by the way. We have put together a lot of things for you, and it's just, you know what? It's just things have fallen into place very, very nicely. Brian has had the opportunity to go there on one of his cross countries for IFR training, and he's inspected it firsthand. We have a wings event on Saturday morning, March 14th at 9 a.m. at the lounge at Thaden Field. Our friend Seth Lake will be doing a wings event on enhanced pre-flight, airworthiness beyond the walk-around. Ted, I think we can put into the show notes, there's actually a registration for this, and Seth provided that to us, so we'll make sure that we include that in our show notes this week.
Yeah, it's on the FAA wings site, which is pretty cool that midlife is mentioned on an FAA site, and it's not a cautionary tale.
I think I'm going to try to reach out to the airport manager and see what we could do to get some sort of notum mentioning the Midlife Pilot.
All we have to do is get Ted to fly in the pattern. And believe me, a notum will happen.
Birds and pants in the vicinity. Yeah.
I would frame that on my wall if I could get a note printed out that says that birds and pants are in the vicinity of the airport.
If anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, just go back and look at our episodes in and around right after the Tango 82 event. So I guess that would be in April 25. Go back around there and have a look. You'll hear some tales.
It's on the live one for that. And because we put the broken wheel pant on the table that we were broadcasting from.
And speaking of live, we are doing a live podcast again at this event. So we will have this entire beautiful lounge that is in the top secret lounge. Big space, really cool. Beautiful view of the runway, indoor and outdoor space. And we're going to do the live podcast from there for everybody on Saturday that weekend at 4:00. So it'll be broadcast live for any and all to hear. And everybody that's there can be a part of it.
That's right. And we're also working on, we pretty much have it figured out. If you're able to come in on Friday and get there by the afternoon, for those of you who don't know, Gamebird, which is a very high performance aerobatic airplane, they're manufactured there at Thaden Field. And we've been in touch with the guys, and we're going to hopefully tour their facility, see how they're made.
It looks like it's happening. I think it's going to be Friday at 2:00. Game Aerospace tour on the opposite side of the field. Well, not the opposite, same side of the field, but just on the opposite end of the field from the FBO. So it won't be hard to get there or anything. So that's super exciting. Also, just want to make sure if you haven't seen this, now go to our website, midlifepilotpodcast.com, and click on the event page. There's a couple of pictures in there. One of them is of the lounge that is at Sugar Creek, which is the grass strip just north of the field that we are welcome. Anybody that's a part of this event can go and land at that airstrip, hang out at this clubhouse, camp there if you want. The clubhouse at Sugar Creek is so nice. It's so cool. And there's at least one picture there on the event page, or just go have a look around. But this is just going to be a really cool event. And I'm super excited also because the weather right now, as of 12 days out, looks not great. And it could not be
exactly how we want it.
That's exactly how we want it. So I think this is all lining up just perfectly.
It only gets better from there, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's going to change, it can only change in one direction. And since when has the weather not changed? So, I mean, you do the math. Want to remind everybody, parking is first come, first serve. If Thaden Field gets filled up, Rogers Field is literally right around the corner, as we say in the South, and they have plenty of parking there, and there's parking at Sugar Creek. And one last thing about the event, I believe we have a link on our website. Seth Lake also made a video about flying around in the airspace at Thaden Field because it is right next to a Charlie, which is XNA, and there are some gotchas in the airspace if you're not careful. And we don't want anybody to have to copy down a number by visiting or fly in. So make sure you check that out and review that on your VFR charts.
Yeah, don't try to pull the Midlife Pilot podcast card on frequency with the controller. It's not going to work.
It actually will make things worse for you if to pull the Midlife Pilot card.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
So we hope to see you there. We do have a RSVP on the website. We'd love to know if you're coming. Obviously, it's not required, but it does help us plan. We're going to go to there's a brewery in town for dinner one night, and it's just
right down the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right down the street. You can almost walk to it. And oh, by the way, in terms of flying in, definitely check out all the information that is published by the FAA and that Seth goes over. He has a whole podcast episode where he talks about everything about getting in and out of Bentonville. And while it sounds like it's a lot to warrant all this, honestly, just be on flight following and be advised that that's what you need to do, and you'll be fine.
Well, also remember that we have people of varying levels of experience of this. And I had somebody reach out to me a while back about this and said, I'm not used to flying near controlled airspace. And so I'm nervous. How do I come in under this Charlie with a Delta next to it and all that? And so I walked him through some suggestions on that. And so there are people at all levels, and it's okay. This is a great one to fly into. You're not flying under a really busy Bravo and something like that.
Yeah.
It's going to be it's a good place for that.
It'll be, you'll be just fine. Just be on flight following and ask questions if you're unsure, and you'll be fine. And then ultimately, if anything crazy happens, I mean, don't you want to have a good story once you land?
So before we get to housekeeping, Brian, I do want to remind everybody, we have scheduled our previously mentioned friend, Seth Lake, will be on the podcast next week. And I'm sure we'll be taking a deep dive into that and giving the YouTube audience a visual. And if you want to join us, speaking of which, you can go to youtube.com/@midlifepilotpodcast and join us Monday nights at 8 p.m. So, Brian, do you want to help us out with the belly scrub?
I do. I just need to paste something in here real quick to our fancy show doc. And now I've got it. Oh, right. Maybe we should get back to me timing how fast I can do these, because it's sort of this section sort of expands and contracts. It's
Well, I had the last one that was contracted, so I thought I was doing what you asked me to do. Now you're making it longer.
Yeah,
and so if you want to be timed on it, I'm more than happy to do that for you.
All right, well, here we go.
On the air. It's great. Yeah.
I know, right? Well, this is...
We're pros.
Listen, they're seeing how the sausage is made. If they haven't left us yet, they'll certainly do it.
Yes.
When we're speaking about the sausage being made, for whatever reason, my show tab is broken, and so I can't type in our private stuff, and I can't mute myself either. So this, I'm actually putting close to the mic. This is for Brian, who's editing this. There we go. That's my that's my spotted cow for my information whiskey. And usually I mute and do that, but let's just do it on the air.
All right.
The timer's ready.
All right. Housekeeping, the belly scrub. Join our Patreon community and help us keep the Midlife Pilot podcast ad-free. Your support makes this show possible, and every membership level gets you into our incredibly active Discord community. Our Orlando-Matic members, just $1 a month. That's 25 cents per episode. You get access to the community level Discord channels where pilots connect, share experiences, and support each other. Hershey bar level and above, you get all the Patreon channels and expanded access, and we have tons of content on this Patreon of ours. Please go check it out. So thanks again to One Dull Geek all the time for these check ride debriefs. They are fantastic. Although I don't think I did one. I haven't been invited.
Well, we had a whole episode for you to do. We did a debrief with you dedicated to this episode. But if you need more screen time, I'm sure we can work something out.
No, it's not about screen time. I just like the thing I like about the not as public check ride story is that I can tell you what really happened. At the caps available level, you'll get into our podcast insiders channel where you can see how the show gets made and help us make it. You get to have here's the thing. From the very beginning, when we started our Patreon, we said we have to give something every month to something that matters. And we chose Freedom Aviation Network. Not only is 10% of all of these donations going to them on a monthly basis, but also you can volunteer for them. So check them out, freedomaviationnetwork.org. You can be a pilot and fly missions for them. You can help them administratively, volunteer, whatever. So those are all things you can do, and you can feel good about combating human trafficking efforts.
Wait.
For combat anti-human trafficking efforts. Okay? All right. For everything Midlife Pilot Podcast, to support us on Patreon, send feedback, grab yourself some merch, some cool shirts happening. The It's Always Fuel shirt is my favorite, so thanks for that one, Ted. Check out event info, read our blog and more. Just visit midlifepilotpodcast.com. Everything is there. And if you're enjoying the show or not, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and we'll read it on the air, even if it's slanderous. If it's 5 stars, it works for us. Then hit subscribe or follow in your podcast app so you never miss an episode, and it actually helps other people find us. So that only helps everybody. Thank you.
Excellent.
That was the slowest one you've ever done. 2 minutes.
I was improvising on some things. I'm sorry.
You were improvising. It's okay.
I had feelings.
It's information whiskey, and we're having fun, and
we're drinking.
Information Peroni for me.
It's not a chore. We do this because we like to, and we say the things because they're important. So, Ben, you look frozen there.
No, I was just messing around with you. I just wanted to say Apalachicola.
Oh, there we go.
We all know what we have to do now. One Dull Geek timed it. It was 2 minutes and 25 seconds, which is horrible. I forgot that I was being timed. I'll do it faster.
That's okay.
Yeah.
No. It's good. We don't want it fast. We like it. We like some improvisation. Ted, what's going on on Patreon?
Yeah, I want to thank the people who joined us on Patreon this week. At the Hershey bar level, we have Andrew R., Brian Z., Mike L., and Jarell or Harrell, or we can't decide. We've had a couple pronunciations of that. So write in and tell us how poorly we did in your name. In Discord, I did our little roundup of accomplishments here. Mark, Mr. One Dull Geek, had his first IFR hold, and by that I mean his first actual hold. He said it was direct consequences of a Saturday being a perfect IFR day. So if you did any IFR training, you know that pretty much just need to know holds for the written test and with the DPE and for theoretical things. And Mark actually was put into a hold. So that's cool. Zach M bought a Warrior and shared pictures of it. So I love it when we see pictures, and I love it because he reached out beforehand and said, "Hey, can you put me on the Creeper bot?" So that was fun knowing that was coming.
Do you want to explain what that is to people real quick again?
Yeah. So the Creeper bot is a optional thing in our Discord that shows who is out flying at any given moment. So it'll post, I think, every half hour and say, "Oh, Zach is up in his new Warrior today," and
with a link, a couple links, and to all the different tracking sites. And yes, it's always great to follow that and see who's out flying and having fun. So it's a great thing. Or if it's Brian's plane, he may or may not be flying because there's like 2 points in the ADS-B tracks. Because he has the world's weirdest ADS-B.
And if you do see Brian's on there, don't panic if it just drops off, because so far he hasn't crashed yet. So it's just he lost his 80.
Did I tell you about how when I went to the John Toon Tower to hang out with them, they said, "Which plane are you?" And they said, "Oh yeah, you're ADS-B." It's awful.
It sucks.
Yeah. Okay. Phil got his PPL.
Congrats, Phil.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's such a big deal when you get your private. Like getting your instrument, Brian, cool. But getting your private, like, wow, this is a big deal. So
yeah,
we
turn the keys, you're ready.
Privates, and it's all downhill after that. Yeah. Hakan shared his $200 of honey, a $200 jar of honey.
Let's be clear. He shared a picture of his $200 jar of honey. We did not get to taste any of this honey.
He tried pouring it on his laptop, and I hear that didn't go well. So it was nice of him to try sharing. It's Germany, and so it's Blutenhonig. Sorry, that's the best I'm going to do, Brian.
That was really good. That was very. I thought you were German for a second.
I thought you were the chef on the Muppets.
And speaking of our friend Seth Lake, somebody noticed that he was recognized as a FAA safety team representative. Like there's like a best of the region roundup, and it's fun to see his name on there. So congrats.
Yeah, that as a line item, it looks like he was caught undercover being like doing a ramp check.
Spotted. Yes. My writing is
I got an email. I get this subscribers, a couple of different emails from the FAA, and this was from the FAST team, their safety team, and they had representatives of the year, so to speak, for each district, and he was listed as one of the representatives of the year. So I wanted to say congratulations.
Very cool.
Excellent. Yeah. Lawrence G, his son, passed his check ride. He's at a 141 school, and we are fans of that. You don't have to be a midlifer. You don't have to be in Discord. We're just happy when there's more people flying and they're having a good time. And I know Lawrence is very proud of his son for that.
Proud moment.
And we're not sure if we mentioned it, but man, our friend Dev got his Navion. I think it's in 1946. He shared pictures of it. It's so cool. Like,
so cool.
It is like early post-war. Like, just the look of it is fantastic. So, I'm not sure if we mentioned it or not, but we want to make sure to say that because it's cool when we see unique planes. It's like, oh, cool. Look, it's another Archer. It's another, 182, whatever. But no, Navion. He's got our only Navion. So
very cool. So tonight we're going to just catch up, all three of us had some decent flying experiences recently. And we got some listener feedback that we wanted to get to today. So Ted, why don't you tell us, I believe you got to go up in a non-plastic egg product.
Yeah.
I got to do some cool stuff.
Yeah. So I went up with friend of the show, Sierra Tango. It's the initials he goes by. Mm-hmm. And went in the Arrow that is the Piper Arrow that their airport has. And that was, I haven't been in it yet. I was told that I should go fly and I should get current in it. And I hadn't been in it yet. So he invited me to go up and I made sure my week worked out so I could go with him. It's a retract and it's a rental plane that has lots of hours and it's a retract. So there was a little bit of adventure with lights and why won't that pump stop? And is that really down? And,
Oh,
Man, do I need to like hate on retracts any more than that? That was an adventure to have. We flew over to the central part of the state. It's the part that OB has talked about a little bit because they have flight following light over there.
yes.
So when you're within 25 miles of the VOR over there, you squawk 1237 and listen to the frequency. And if ATC needs you, they know you're there, which is a really cool way to do it. It's like, you don't need flight following. You just need to know if you're in the way, they're going to reach out to you. So we had a lot of fun with that. And there's a tower that's under construction over there. Sorry, an ATC tower under construction at an airport. And so that makes the second new tower that I've seen in a month, which is kind of cool. It's like, wow, I can't believe that the airspace is changing fast enough that I have seen 2 towers recently. So yeah, it was a good experience. It was nice to get up and nice to enjoy the good weather to get over there.
How does the interior of space of a plane like that compare to what you're used to?
Oh, I don't know. Is it the same size as all the other, Cherokees, everything in that category?
More or less, yeah.
Yeah. So, get used to just one door on it. And yeah, it was great. I also knew that I wasn't worried about doing the piloting, so I didn't put my seat all the way up to the rudder pedals. So I had tons of space. It was a kind of a luxury for that. But
nice.
Yeah, it was cool.
I'm really hoping Atlanta will adopt the flight following light.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of people that are doing the corridor over the top of Hartsfield now, and they're giving it to you just about every single time. It's just a matter of them publishing the letter of authorization and doing all that. But I hope it comes sooner than later.
Yeah.
Very cool. Mr. Siskind, I believe you got to do something for the very first time, and it was as a result of the fruits of your labor over the last 3 or 4 months.
Well, you got to put this thing to use right away. And there is this brief eclipse in this part of the country where there's 2 weeks in early spring and 2 weeks in fall where the weather's good. And you find yourself where you have temperatures that are at least vaguely above freezing and at altitude. And there's a little bit of marginal VFR. Now I'm looking for bad weather, guys. Looking for bad weather. And I got lucky. Sounds a lot like the day that Wendell Geek was describing, where it was between, 1,000 feet and 1,500 feet ceilings everywhere. And tops maybe 3,000 or 4,000 or something like that. So everybody was out. But in fact, our friend Adam was flying IFR that day on a lesson, and I heard myself on the radio on his video, which was really cool. And I told him, I said, I sounded way more relaxed when I was talking to approach than I actually was. So I flew the first solo IFR that I've ever flown. And it was really cool. It was definitely a perfect way and time to do it because I left Bowling Green and it was pretty clear. And then it was only about a third of the way there where all of a sudden the clouds come. So I was able to get up without any issue, get settled in, and then really make sure that I was set up nicely and then enter it and then deal with it. I did get a little, you know how it is when you first get your private, the first couple of flights you take on your own, all these things start happening that never happened in training. Just little weird wrinkles or things you'll hear from a controller that you've never heard before in all of your training, that now all these things are popping up everywhere, all these new things, and you don't have anybody to help you. So the thing that came up on this one was I was doing the RNAV 3.5 into Gallatin. I chose to do a familiar approach also. And on the way in, right as I'm getting vectored onto the approach course, and I'm actually in the middle of turning onto the approach course. Hold on a second.
Yeah. Hey,
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about. I can't mute, so
Yeah. It's
sorry
okay.
about that. Yeah.
No, it's all right.
And I can't use a private chat. So sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. I know.
So I'm doing the RNAV 3.5, vector to final, coming in. As I'm turning onto the inbound course, I get this call from ATC saying that the GCO is out and he can't cancel me now. And so I'm going to have to call when I get on the ground. And there's not a published number. So I was, ready to copy a phone number as I'm making that kind of critical turn. So that was just a little bit interesting, but I don't think that. Here's what stood out to me in my first solo IFR foray is even though you've got everything totally under control and nothing is amiss, all it takes is one domino to fall or one thing to be slightly off. I had a little bit of a kerfuffle with the avionics that I was trying to activate a leg on the 530 or I don't know, it was something and it was giving me little fits in the moment. There were a couple of just little wrinkles like that where I was very aware in that moment with the skill level that I have and experience I have, which is very low, that my bandwidth to entertain any abnormals or anything is very, very small. It's very interesting to just examine yourself, especially in light of our episode last week with Gita, and just to be thinking about how we're managing helmet fires or, there's a lot of gradients between flying normally and a helmet fire in IFR. There's just different levels of, but there's a baseline saturation that is happening that you're almost completely unaware of is what I noticed. And so when any little thing would happen, it was a little, not alarming, but just, I'm so new at this. This will not be a big deal later on. But for right now, I was aware of it in the moment. It was fine. I didn't freak out. I did not like that my avionics weren't quite right as I got on the final approach. And I was having to wing it a little bit for a minute, but I sorted it out and it was fine. Approach to land, everything fine. It was fine. But it was definitely my first flight doing that by myself. And you could feel the solitude and the burden of everything being on you. And you could feel the baseline level of, it's almost like the tape hiss of saturation that is just ever present. And the more experience you get, I'm sure that becomes better. Ben, what do you say?
You've gone down this road before. You alluded to it. You went down this road as a private pilot, and you're going to go down this again as an instrument pilot. Here's what I'm excited about personally that you're doing that I can't wait for, and that is the content that is going to come once you've gotten your feet wet with instrument and you've shot a fair number of approaches and you've spent some time in IMC. I cannot wait to see what shows up on your YouTube channel. I know that there's going to be some great videos, just great musings. I am being serious. I'm a huge fan of your stuff, and when we talk offline and you tell me about what happened, all I'm thinking back in my head is this is going to be an awesome Brian Siskin jam.
Well, there's things coming. Honestly, it's just been so much, so fast, and it's been so challenging that I haven't had time to process it. And I think that when you're a creative person, sometimes you feel behind the eight ball. I'm not producing, but really there's phases of just mass intake of experience. And that is ultimately what transformation is and change. And then you have enough of that in the bank to sit back and reflect on it a little bit. So I'll definitely be going there.
It's great for me. I'm not enjoying you being in, I call it like a very small level of blood pressure increase when one little thing goes wrong. It's not panic mode. It's not that, but your heart rate's just beating a little bit faster than it normally does.
Yeah.
And I like hearing, whether it's private pilot or instrument or even commercial, it takes me back to those days.
Yeah.
When I was that. And I appreciate that. It kind of makes me thankful for where I'm at.
Well, it's a long walk between all the VFR flying and the, was it 140 seconds to live? Your mouth is dry. You've been in a cloud for 4 seconds. You're inverted. You're thinking about your family. Or like, I don't know what it is. That video scared the crap out of me. No. It was the equivalent of what Blood on the Highway was for driver's ed in the 70s. And so it's so strange to go from, I have to avoid these clouds or I might die. And that's a real thing. That's not hyperbolic. I mean, you get the training and you know that you need the training in order to do that. But you've only had so much training, and there's different levels of disorientation. There's different levels of the leans. There's different circumstances. There's just so many things. So the first time that I entered into the void, it was quite the state of suspended animation, just a strange feeling. But anyway, so thanks for letting me yap about that. We've got a lot to get to tonight.
We do.
And I really just want to thank you, though, specifically Ben, not you, Ted, but just Ben, on helping. I've definitely called you and sought your sage advice, and you've been really helpful, and you were helpful to me even that day. I am double checking everything right now. I am not allowing myself to just make decisions without full weather briefings and without checking with friends that I know will give me a straight answer about whether this is a good idea or not, or just to make sure that I'm not going to miss anything. I believe in my training and my ability, but I am not relying on it entirely to, when I'm on the ground, I have the time. Why not source multiple points of view? So that's been super helpful, and I really appreciate it.
So a question for you. When you become a private pilot, there's a little bit of Dunning-Kruger where you don't know what you don't know. And a little bit that is, you kind of realize you've learned enough that you're at the point that you do know what you don't know, but you're still so early in that process. Does it feel different to you now with a lot more flying experience, getting IFR, where you fully realize that you are behind the curve, that it's like, okay, I can barely fly IFR. The difference between when you first solo a plane and you have no idea all the things that could possibly happen bad, but maybe it's a little different now where you kind of recognize a lot more of that now.
I think it's a great question. On the private, absolutely, it is a license to learn. There's so much that you don't know even after practicing, getting your private pilot certificate. And you learn as you go along, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I feel like instrument training, there is still stuff that you don't know, but the margin is a lot smaller. You know the different approaches. You understand the airspace. There are, in that same breath, though, I feel like IFR is kind of like a Tolkien novel where you've got this whole world with all these different aspects to it that you could spend a lifetime studying IFR and being, proficient at it, because every approach is different. And a lot of them have a lot of similarities, but a little quirk here, a little quirk there, and learning to read a plate to find out what the gotchas are or what you have to be careful of. That takes a little finesse. That's, to me, the margin of the Dunning-Kruger part of it, of not knowing what you don't know until you've flown to every single airport in the United States. So I just think, to answer your question, Ted, there's a huge margin at private and a much smaller margin at instrument.
How do you feel with that, Brian? Because you're in that moment.
I still can't even believe that I am a person that is even being vaguely referenced or referred to with respect to instrument flying. So let me just take that in for a second.
Somebody handed you the Lord of the Rings book and you're thrilled, is what you're saying.
When you said that, Ben, I just thought, Yeah, when you said that, I thought, yes, equally unnecessarily lengthy and cryptic. Yes.
I was thinking that it was like there's some people that are really into this and others that don't get it.
Well, to that point, I feel like, and our friend, I was about to pull up his comment in the chat, Wendell Geek. I feel like Wendell Geek loves to dive into every aspect of it, and I think that's awesome. I am allowing the experience of just going to these different airports and learning them as I go along, where I think Wendell Geek wants to know about them on the very front end. He says in the chat, I'm not sure I agree with you, Ben. IFR opens up all kinds of trouble that you can get yourself into that you can't when following VFR rules. I agree with that. And I'm not speaking to the level of safety. I'm talking about for the lack of a better word, nerdiness of all the different rules within IFR as it relates to so many different things. Again, you can watch Lord of the Rings and be knowledgeable of the book, or you can read the book and talk to people and go into all these different subsets of the book. And it's just like a whole nother deal. So, I think there's a level of safety that's going to be at minimum at that. So sorry if I didn't elaborate on that better.
Well, speaking of safety and knowing what you don't know or dealing with what you can't see, I would like us to transition to a tale as rich as Lord of the Rings and perhaps as fraught with transformational challenge, all the hero's journey ingredients you need in a good story. Ben, I would like for you to tell us about your partial panel experience.
In a world. It was an angel flight. And I was picking up the patient and the patient's spouse in Oxford, Mississippi. And the plan was their final destination was Jacksonville, Florida. I was meeting another pilot in Blairsville, Georgia, which, Brian, you and I have been there. That would be Delta Zulu Juliet.
Nice place.
And dropping the patients off, and he was going to take them to Jacksonville. The weather was not clearing up as forecasted. And the ceilings in this, and I'm laying out the whole scenario, the ceilings, first of all, Blairsville is in the mountains, and it's a beautiful airport, but there's high terrain surrounding the airport. So I was considering shooting an approach there, and I was looking at the chart, and I saw that there was only one approach. It was a GPS approach into runway 8, and the winds were 220 from 220, 8 gusting 18. So it was going to have to be a circling approach in the mountains with 1,700 foot ceilings. That's
Don't like it.
Absolute. Yeah.
Don't like that.
So I was the passenger, the spouse of the patient is a pilot wannabe, and he wanted to sit up front with me. And we're just having a great time talking about everything. And I'm telling him, he's got his phone with him, and he's been texting the other pilot, letting him know where we were. And I was about to say, it's time to divert. We're going to have to go. Let's meet at my home base at McCollum. But before I got those words out of my mouth, I looked back at my panel, and my electronic HSI was out. I had no heading information whatsoever. For those of you who don't know, I have a Sandell HSI, and it uses like a projector bulb. And I knew immediately what happened. This is not the first time it's happened. However, it is the first time that it's happened in IMC.
Sandell, isn't that Latin for without light?
It's Sandell. It is Latin for 1980 projector bulb.
So to describe that, it gives, the HSI, compass and arrows for my VFR friends. It gives all that. And instead of being on a steam gauge thing that rotates mechanically and everything else, it looks like it's on a fancy panel, like what's in the egg. It kind of is, but it's a projector. Like, remember those rear projecting TV? Well, I guess front projecting.
That's what it is.
So you saw the 3 lights. Yeah. So it has a light that goes through the tiny LCD and displays on this panel. So without the light, there's nothing. There's a black
It is
box.
blank.
Yeah.
And to also be clear, it still is taking its instructions from the autopilot. So if I use the heading bug and I turn it, it will still turn in that direction, and it will follow the GPS course because the autopilot's following the navigator. So I immediately told my passenger we're going to divert to McCollum because they have an ILS, and I have a backup or second nav radio with a second VOR instrument. And the ceilings there were 2,500 is what the ATIS was calling for. And that's, 1,500 above ground level. So, that was going to be a very easy one. The challenge on this one is that I was put onto an arrival. And then once I got on the arrival, air traffic control was going to give me vectors.
Is this the Buckhead 3?
This is the Buckhead 3, baby.
All
no,
right.
actually, no, I stand corrected. This was the Sweet Tea. This was the Sweet Tea arrival because we're coming in really from the west. So, Ted, do we want to play the audio that I downloaded this, and I just want to set it up. This was my conversation with Atlanta Tracon, and I am still on autopilot, and I'm using my iPad to see what general direction the airplane is pointed in, and I'm using the heading bug that I can't see to turn to their prescribed headings that they're assigning me. So if you want to go ahead and play the audio.
Now, the first couple bits of audio of your replies are incomprehensible. And so I cut them, except leaving a little radio static. Do you want to say anything, or we're just going to kind of get it from context?
Yeah, it's incomprehensible, not because of my accent. It was because the distance of where I was relative to transceiver. The controller gave me a heading of 070, and I had simply told him I am without display for my heading and that I need a little grace on getting to that heading. Bear with me is basically what I told him.
Okay. Yeah. Well, here we go.
Number 911, flighting 070, vectors to the approach. November 911, roger. November 2 Bravo Kilo, traffic 10 o'clock, 5 miles eastbound, 5000 Cessna. November 911, yeah, it doesn't look like it's taking that 70 heading. Turn, what do you need as far as it looks like you're starting to turn now. Are you just turning? Okay, no problem. November 911, descend to maintain 4000. Number 4 42911, plotting 090. 090 to 911. Post calling 911, get request. Good. As soon as possible, do you work it out? I'd like for you to put in a downwind out pass off speed, because I might need a little extra time to get stabilized on the approach. 42911, you're number 4 right now, so yeah, you'll probably be out close off to you. That sounds great, thanks, 911. 444 Kilo Mike, traffic is above your right at 4000 eastbound from Skyline, traffic approach 126.97. For 911, traffic at 1 o'clock, about 5 miles opposite direction at 3000 type unknown. They're going to be passing shoot about 2 miles off your right. I'm going to turn you right behind them. Right, Jack. We're approaching broke down at about 3,700 feet. We'll be looking for that traffic. 911.
You said I might need a little bit more time for that to stabilize the approach. Or he's like, you're number 4. You're going to get in next week.
He's OVPEW is OVPEW is the initial approach fix for the ILS 27. So I asked to go a little bit outside it, and he's like, "You're number 4, dude. You'd be happy if you're inside 5 miles of that fix." So I broke out at 3,700 feet, as you heard on there. So it was, it really was. I don't want to say it was a nothing sandwich. It was, as my friend Ron Horton says, you don't rise to the level of your knowledge, you fall to your level of training. And since I had some great instrument training, it really was a non-event. I was able to use the heading indicator to get lined up using the secondary VOR anyway. I did it for practice at that point in time. And
can you step back for a minute, especially for those that are perhaps VFR or maybe just newly minted instrument pilots that don't really know what they're talking about, like me? Okay, so this is what is called a partial panel approach.
That is a partial panel.
I had to do partial panel approaches on my check ride, and anyone who takes an instrument check ride will have to do those things. And there are a few wisdoms or a few ways. It depends on what's failing, and there's a lot of variables here. But if you are in a steam gauge airplane and your DG failed, your mechanical gyroscopic DG failed, you would be encouraged, number one, to cover it because your scan is a habit.
Right. You're 100% right.
And if that's there, you're going to unwittingly reference it erroneously. So then in a weird way, this was a huge benefit that you have this Sears and Roebuck HSI because the fact that it just went dark on you, but you could still drive the heading and autopilot with it. That's you couldn't ask for a better situation if you're gonna go down the tubes.
I'd like to remind you that Sears and Roebuck HSI took you from Nashville to St. Simon's and back home. So
yeah,
let's be careful.
Do I need to bring a bag full? Do we need to have some replacement bulbs just laying around? It's probably pretty hard to replace a bulb in that thing, actually. Huh?
Actually, it's very easy. And
oh, is it?
Yes. I took it today, and it took them about 45 minutes.
Oh, well, that doesn't sound too easy. I was wondering if it was something you could do, in flight or something.
No. It has to be taken to an avionics shop.
Okay. Yeah.
But I wanted to kind of point out a couple of things that I did, and we're getting some comments. Captain Todd says, does this typical Skylane have a compass? And also, to that point, Brian and I talked about shortly after the event what I used. And I did use the whiskey compass. Basically what I was doing, because I couldn't see where my heading bug was, because I would use my iPad that's got a trend vector on the front of the airplane showing you where the plane is pointed. When he gave me the 070 heading, I kept turning the heading bug until I saw the plane almost point to what I thought was 070. And then I used the whiskey compass to dial it in to exactly 070. The next heading was 090, which is an easy one. Just point the plane to the right side of the screen, and that's going to be 090 and match it up with a compass. I didn't use the Garmin 430 as you had thought about. I went on the plane today to look at that to see how to access that. But after the fact, after you and I had that conversation, I wanted to have that situational awareness of showing where I am on the magenta line or where I was in relative to where I needed to be. We have a secondary source of GPS data that's not approved for IFR flight, but it's on our yoke, and it's a Garmin 296, and it has a separate antenna, and it does have a heading indicator on it. And I was looking at it today going, this would have been probably much easier to use the next time the bulb goes out.
That's a funny point, though, is that you really have to think about these things because there's not just one path when you have one domino fall. There are many different options, and you got to think about what are the implications of the option set that you're using, because there's so many redundancies. There's so many. I mean, my plane has 3 turn coordinators, I think. You know, there's just a lot of redundancies, and so you can sit there and go, well, maybe I can do OBS on the 430 and draw a line through, and then I don't know. There's a million different ways you could have gone about that. I do think it's interesting that you did not choose the way of the instrument that is attached to your yoke that also tells you whether there are bass directly below you or not, and what the depth of the water is.
I'm going to leave that one alone. But I will say it felt First of all, let's remember I had 2 passengers that have flown in small airplanes before. They have been using Angel Flight for 4 or 5 months now. But they were really great. I don't know if they've been in these planes enough to know, or maybe I was calming source. I don't know. I was expecting there to be some level of panic by them, but it never happened. And it was actually a very easy experience. And I hope any instrument failures I have go exactly this way. Because it was...
So it was not an emergency?
I did not declare an emergency. I thought about that after I had landed. With having a backup VOR and going to McCollum, I just was super comfortable. I've flown in this area my entire aviation career. I knew everything that I was seeing.
What if you were me?
That's a great question. I don't know how to answer that. I think it's a personal decision. I have over 500 hours in actual IMC. If I had less than that, and yeah, I may have declared an emergency. I don't know. That's not really for me to say. I guess if I said that if I had 10 hours in IMC and this happened, yeah, I might have declared an emergency.
Yeah.
What ceiling would you have declared an emergency for? Because with 2,500 feet, that's a lot different than 600 feet.
I agree with you. I don't know that the ceiling comes into play that much. I think it's more of your level of experience while you are actually in the clouds and have no reference to a horizon and only using instruments, which one has failed.
Or just your general ability to maintain, your general ability to comply with air traffic control instructions with some precision so as to protect other people from your errant straying from headings or other things. They need to know that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And if you are not able to do that cleanly, then that's a concern.
Well, and maybe the time to declare it. But you heard in that audio, he was about to say you're not able. Oh, yep, I see you turning now. And that's when I said, I need a little extra time because I don't have a display and I'm flying by the compass.
So the reason that I ask, one of the reasons I ask about the ceiling is a lower ceiling means you're closer in and you're also closer to obstructions. When you're at 2,500 feet, you're a lot further out. An ILS is really wide. And if you're basically using your iPad for the situational awareness, that's a lot riskier than if you're at
I totally agree with you. And if I was in terrain, I would have declared emergency, period, end of story.
Yeah. Or if you knew that you couldn't be in control within the MSA.
100%.
Yeah.
The difference, Ted, is I was using the iPad as a reference until they vectored me on final. I had a beautifully working VOR gauge.
Display. Okay.
That was a steam gauge.
Yeah.
With a separate nav radio. I used that to get lined up on the runway. I didn't even look outside the airplane. So I hear what you're saying. And yeah, it may have been a little bit more disconcerting if I was in IMC until just before minimums. And it would depend on how I felt and how much control I had over the situation.
I have one more question.
Go ahead.
Were you already cleared, or had they already told you to expect vectors to final, or were you already in the sequence of vectors to final when this occurred?
I was already in the sequence of vectors to final, yes.
And so you're maybe 1 or 2 turns away from getting direct to being
as soon as he put me on a 090 heading, I knew I was 2 turns away.
Gotcha.
The next turn was 180, and then the one after that's 240 to intercept a 273 radio.
All right. So question then, I'm thinking about how I would handle this. I would be probably thinking, and you tell me if this is wrong or not. This is just me.
It's wrong.
Thank you. End of show.
Sorry.
Thanks, everybody. No,
look, it's an hour into it.
No. So my question is, what about this? What about telling the controller that, I'm having an issue, whatever, and can I, instead of vectors to final, can I get direct to the initial approach fix or whatever seems suitable there, and then programming the GPS to fly that approach and just couple it?
I would have not been able to see how the plane was performing because that would have been on the Sandell. The GPS is tied to the Sandell. So I would have not been able to. I could have used the Garmin 430 screen possibly as a second reference point.
So you can't just do nav mode and it doesn't do what you're heading anymore?
I can. Absolutely could.
Well, that's
but
what I'm saying.
I just can't see it graphically. If I'm in the clouds and I'm at IMC, I can't graphically make sure that the plane is doing what I hope it's doing because that's on the Sandell display.
So I'm just imagining I have no HSI.
Yep.
I hit procedure, activate approach.
Yep.
Not vectors to final. Take me to this initial approach fix or whatever. I could be also looking at the compass. I could also be looking at the iPad. I feel like I would have several things to tell me if the autopilot's taking me where it needs to take me.
So here's the thing to that.
Yeah.
It's no different than using the heading indicator. I'm coming from the west side of the airport. I'm going to have to be put on a downwind, on a base, and then turn to final. Whether I do that through GPS or I do vectors to final on the ILS, what's the difference?
Well, no, sure. I guess I'm just trying to figure out if you're just in a place where it's like, you go ahead, Ted.
If I was coming from the east side, I would have asked for the RNAV to 27, and I would have thrown that in and thrown on the autopilot because I've found that a bunch of times.
Okay, fair enough.
Because it wasn't going to take very many turns. The vectors, there's a lot of turns to do the vectors to final.
Here's my concern with putting the heading in the 430 and hitting go and not being able to see where it is on the Sandell is you're cruising along, everything seems fine, you're following it on the iPad, and all of a sudden it makes a turn, and now you've got to crank it back, and you're in the soup.
It's a great point.
If you control it yourself and you're off the compass, you know that you can keep this turn going or whatever the command
and
is.
honestly, that's the simplest simplest route to go, and that's what you want to do when you're in these situations: is keep it as simple as possible.
And I get it now because basically you're going on to an ILS, which is basically like a VOR, and you know once you get on it where you are. It's just getting to there that is 100%. Where you're more unknown. And so it's like you're confident once you get to that. Yep. It's getting from here to there that it's a little bit approximate.
Well, it's just intercepting.
That's right. Well, again, 100 times, over 100 times, I've been put on a 90-degree downwind, turned 180 for base, and then turn to a 240, turn 240, you're 5 miles from Malbers, intercept the final approach before it's clear for ILS 27 approach. It's ingrained in me. I've done it a bunch of times, and that's the thing I was most comfortable with. So this is why I went that route.
I was just exploring other options.
That's what I love about this podcast. That's what I love about the community is I love hearing, well, what about this? Or what about that? I think that's fantastic. I'm not disputing that those aren't viable options. I'm only explaining that's why it didn't pop into my head to begin with, is because if I was, like I said, if I was coming from the east side of the airport, I would have requested the RNAV to 27 thrown in there because I was on heading mode the whole time. I've experienced this more than times than not that when I try to shoot an ILS with the autopilot, it does just a mediocre job.
Yeah, and I was forgetting, by the way, that you were on an ILS. But I was just thinking about just a final approach course, irrespective of whatever it is, just getting on that so that then you've got the guidance and then you can go.
Yeah, and I'd like one old geek to know also, when I'm saying fish finder, that's what I use for my kayak and what we use for Apalachicola. So everybody.
But he was saying that because of your 296 on the, on the yoke. That
I know.
It is basically a Humminbird,
It is. And so that's how we use that.
By the way, we have no limit on time because we actually are, nobody's parents are telling us that we have to stop. even though Ben does live in his parents' basement.
I mean, I thought we were keeping that to ourselves, but okay, whatever, Brian.
By the way, one of my favorite moments in the last week's podcast was when you were talking about being at home with your kids during COVID and how each of you broke out in different rooms at different times to meditate, and how meditation was so key to your success in getting through that time. I just thought, nothing like family, right? We're all here together. That's all anybody really wants, is just everybody to be here together. And then when they are together, it's please.
Yeah.
I need to go meditate.
Hey, I want to highlight this from Captain Todd, because this is a great point. I didn't think about it until he just said it. This is definition of a no gyro approach, right? Could ask for that. You're right. I didn't need it, but that is the essence of why I love being a part of this podcast, is because you just get perspectives from a supportive community.
It's
not like they're saying, what a dumb, what a dummy for doing it that way.
It seems like that's what the controller was about to give you when you couldn't roll out on a 7-0 heading. Yeah.
Right. And by the way, those compass errors are real. Overshoot, under north.
Oh, ands and unos.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
the acceleration errors.
Acceleration errors are live in my brain now. So
given the topic of this week's podcast, at what point did you consider drinking the whiskey out of the compass?
Not once, because it performed very well and I didn't want to have to get a new compass. I'm going to have to get a new light bulb, which I did today. So I didn't want to have to get a new compass. And for the record, we had the official discussion today. We're getting pricing on a couple of options to get rid of the Sears and Roebuck heading indicator.
Yeah.
Because as I was offended by that, there's a lot of truth into what you're saying.
Well, I'll tell you what, I have to say, in my check ride, the DPE failing one of the G5s to me was nearly comical. That was an easy one.
Right.
Because they, fail over. It's pretty great. So I don't know what you're looking at, but in terms of cost and what you get, I don't know. The G5s are fantastic.
Welcome to my life. Oh, you're going to fail the screen in front of me. Oh, darn, I have to turn my head a little bit to get exactly the same layout just for my passenger.
Yeah. Well, but then he turned off WAS and it was a whole different thing.
Yeah.
So real quick, do you guys want to hit any of these feedbacks before we go? We got so many.
The first one. Well, let's do the first one. Just put a smile on my face, and I'd like to share it with the community. So, Brian, can we hit the first one?
You want me to hit?
Please.
This is from Tom H. By the way, all of these came into our email account, which is midlifepilotpodcast@gmail.com, where you can send us things. From Tom H. To the host of the best damn aviation podcast! ! Good evening from Frederick, Maryland, just outside of the DC CIFRA. My name is Tom H., and I'm a 56-year-old student pilot training out of Foxtrot Delta Kilo. I cannot begin to describe how much I've enjoyed listening to the Midlife Pilot podcast. My dad had his pilot's license, but lost his medical shortly after I was born, so I never got to fly with him, but he would tell me stories of flying, which always sparked my interest. I just never seemed to have the time or the money to take flight training. A couple of years ago, I realized that if I didn't take the first step, then I would never achieve it, so I started saving up some money and started watching videos to try and learn as much about general aviation as possible. YouTube is really the gateway drug to aviation at this stage, right? If you have even a fleeting curiosity, then do not go
Good
down.
luck.
Yeah, it's over. Because you see a lot of people like me with a YouTube channel or Ted with a YouTube channel, and you can't help but think, man, if those guys can do it,
Yeah, exactly.
I can certainly do it.
Yeah.
Then I did the dance with FAA with my medical deferral, but after several long months, my medical card came. I logged my first lesson on September 26, 2025, which was my late father's birthday. I can only hope he was watching from the other side. That I can definitely relate to. I did my first solo on Father's Day of my late father, and it meant a lot. And I know what it feels like to accomplish something like that you have this kindred connection to your father through aviation that you didn't even have while they were alive. And then you're posthumously trying to imagine those conversations. I get that fully. He says, my pilot training has been a struggle, though, between broken planes and weather. Finding any consistency has been hard. I started in a Cherokee 180, which I loved, but it went in for annual and never came back. Oh, gosh. Wow.
It's like a Cherokee joke in there somewhere.
I know. It's like it got taken for cash for clunkers. Remember that?
I was thinking about the dog being taken to the farm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Old Yeller.
It's just going to annual. Don't worry.
Oh. He says, my instructor told me it needed an engine and would be several months before it would be back. So now I'm in a Cessna 172. I'm really sorry.
So yeah, I went to the farm basically.
Yeah. You had it made with the 180. I'm sorry about that. I typically sign up for 3 lessons per week, and I'm lucky to fly once a week, and sometimes it's every 2 weeks. We said this so many times. Please go back and check out our guide to becoming a midlife pilot, because you need to schedule at least twice what you hope happens, if not 3 times. So this is a perfect example of that. And everybody who's been down this path can say this was their story too. He says, I've questioned myself several times whether I should just quit and save my money. Oh, gosh. There's so many sentences in this email.
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
Because there's so many gut punches of commonality in here. This is brutal.
Okay, you got to lock down this podcast. Only certain people can listen to that thought.
Yeah, this is too common. So now I'm in a Cessna 172. I typically sign up for 3 lessons per week. Okay, right. I've questioned myself several times. Okay, but it never fails. Every time I feel like I'm just struggling to learn, every time it feels like I'm struggling learning something or feeling like an imposter, something gets said on the Midlife Pilot podcast that reels me back into reality and makes me realize just how much I've been through to this point and how much I want this.
Sir, please don't blame us for this.
And we're not sending you toward reality. Let's be clear. We're sending you further into the addiction.
Right.
Yeah, please forget what reality is. No, but this means a lot, because we've talked about all these things, the imposter syndrome, the fortitude that it takes to just persevere and get this done. People romanticize it, I think, when they're coming in. And then when you start at a flight school, they're going to tell you all these flowery, optimistic things. And then the reality comes in. So anyway, he says, so for that, I say thank you. I look forward every week to the podcast. I'm honored to be part of the community. I just became a Patreon member. Thank you for that. I'm trying to figure out how to access the Discord. Yes, we are all midlifers and we are somewhat technically challenged, but our friend One Dull Geek has a great little helper document that gets even the most feeble of midlife minds onto our Discord. And once you're there, it's not that hard. So
even pilots can do it.
I'm really computer illiterate, but would love to be able to communicate with others in the community and make some friends. I need some friends in aviation. Hey, that is exactly why this is even happening right now. That's why this community exists. I wish I could be at the Thaden Invasion. Hopefully I can make the next one. I'm wishing everyone safe travels. Take care, my friends. Tom H. Thank you, Tom, for that. We wished you could make the Thaden Invasion as well, but you know what? There will be another one, and we will do it somewhere perhaps even closer to you, and you'll have perhaps your training done even and can fly yourself to it. But this is fantastic. I just relate so much and appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Tom made it into Discord, so
hey, welcome, Tom.
He said hi, and glad he's there.
That's great.
It's emails like this that, first of all, it's amazing that when Ted and I joined, but specifically speaking about me, that our listenership and viewership did just sink to a negative number. Blows me away. And number 2, when we get these emails, man, that just it makes my day. So
yeah, you want to hit another one?
Listen, we're hour 15 into it, brother. If you want to keep going, let's do it.
Let's just do at least one more.
Can I read this one?
That's a great question.
Let's find out. This one comes from Chef Delta Victor. I really like this one too. Good evening, gentlemen. I wanted to pile on with so many others that have praised your podcast. I am about 8 months into my PPL journey after being bitten by the aviation bug at 14. I had the opportunity to spend a summer with my grandfather, who was an A&P IA. We would fly in the afternoons after he gave me tasks around the hangar during the day that kept me out of his way while he did real work. Now at 53, I soloed just a few days ago.
All right.
Congratulations. That's awesome. He goes on to say, here are a few things I appreciate about your podcast. It has kept me inspired, encouraged through the maintenance and scheduling delays that I've learned are a common thread through most people's journey.
Oh, man.
Contrary to your advice, I went all the way back to episode 23 and started listening there. I'm a grown man. You can't stop me. I'm on episode 156 now, so I'm close to being current.
Wait, what's episode 23?
I'm going to pull it up. I'll get it by the time we're...
Yeah.
What was so scary about 22?
Yeah, exactly.
That was pre-Ted and me, so
yeah.
I'm very curious to know what that is. He goes on to say, as I was making my way through the back episodes, I would jump to the next episode as soon as Ben said, gentlemen, anything else for the good of the order. Fortunately, one day I wasn't able to switch at that point and found that Ben's wit and wisdom are a great end to the episode. Thank you very much. Keep up the great work and being a beacon when things get tough out there. Thank you for all you do to inspire those of us who have come to this great experience in midlife. That's from Chef Delta Victor.
Yeah, love that.
So that was really awesome.
I think, it's certainly why some people like this is that we are the same as you who are listening, and it's more true than you can imagine. We're just doing the same thing, right?
Yep.
We didn't start this to have a podcast and find a topic to shove into it. It's all just an outgrowth of really being passionate about this and really seeking each other and trying to find those common experiences and all of that. Okay, so episode 22 actually was with SoCal Flying Monkey, which was a great episode.
Yeah.
And then 23 is Pilots Flying with Pilots. So, which off the top of my head, I don't remember. 24 was Flying Clubs with Drew of AOPA.
Oh, yeah.
So it's funny that he happened to start at 23 of all numbers. I was hoping there would be something really funny about that, but yes. Yeah, remember those early episodes for sure.
Definitely.
I was just a listener then. So, yeah.
We were just listeners.
Yeah.
Ted, we got a nice review from the other side of the pond. Do you want to hit that for us?
Yeah. Oh, great. I usually send these to you because whenever there's pronunciation issues, I'm hoping that Ben can do it. And
I'll do it if you want me to.
Yeah. Oh, no.
I like this one.
Yeah, I do too.
You want me to take it?
No.
Okay. You got it.
This is a Apple podcast review from the UK, apple.co.uk or whatever their site is. It's from Music Scott, the flying pals I've never met. All the way from the dark and Drake of Scotland, I'm sending thanks to the flying pals I've never met. If you're learning to fly, these are the pals you need. Let's be honest, all your non-flying pals are already scunnered, which is fed up, with you talking on and on about flying, but this team of passionate flyers are here to fill the gap. The route to getting your license may be different in the UK, but the midlife struggles are the same. I love the mix of personalities and how open they are to sharing. The best lesson is one you don't have to learn yourself. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. P.S. Ted, sounds like I got my copy of Killing Zone before you. Sorry. That's from Music Scott. I love that. Yeah.
Music Scott, if you send us an email at midlifepilotpodcast@gmail.com with your information, I would love to send you some stickers because that's probably my favorite review ever.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm trying to think of how we can come up with a t-shirt concept using the word scunnered.
Scunnered. Yeah. Yeah.
ATC Scunnered. Should we throw an ATC in there? Yeah. Scunnered with ATC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we do have a nice little contingent of people especially in Discord. We know we've got some people on Patreon as well, but in Discord who are from Australia, from Netherlands, several in the UK, at least one in Germany. We talked about that on the podcast earlier tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We love that. There's only we know very little. We especially know little outside of the flying in the US.
Several Australians.
Yeah.
And we got a nice Australian crew.
Yeah. And so we love it. It's like learning about what's different about the UK's kind of limited IFR license, or Canada and Europe's night flying endorsement. And that's stuff that we don't have here. And we only don't talk about it because we don't know better. So it's not that we want to keep this fully US centric. It's so great to learn why different countries do different things.
100%.
I think it'd be great to do for bonus content on Patreon to have an international panel discussion or something where we all get in there and just everybody have at it about what is similar and different and all that. To have a UN, midlife pilot UN.
We each, instead of promoting our own country's wonderful airspace system, we complain about our own country's airspace system. You got it easy over there. Here we got to.
So imagine this. If we do this, if we get several countries together like this, imagine the scheduling to do this.
Yeah.
We're trying to get Australia and the US and Europe all in the same call.
Oh, I love it. And
it's 2 a.m. for somebody.
Yeah. And it'll be called the high-vis sessions.
That's fantastic.
I think Captain Todd's right. He says, I'm guessing there's no actual rules to flying in Australia. Am I wrong? I believe legally that's true. It is.
I think it's just all
a lawless place. Yeah.
I love Rich's comment here, directed at you, Ted. How many other podcasts are there where I can listen to a fellow sport pilot? None.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. I want to remind everybody, we love those reviews. 5-star would be great, but you don't have to. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Fellas, anything else for the good of the order?
No, it's fun.
Yeah.
Fun tonight.
Thanks.
I want to provide this. I stumbled across this one the other day. An optimist laughs to forget. A pessimist forgets to laugh. Signing off, episode 170 of the Midlife Pilot Podcast. Goodbye, everybody.